Let's dive in, guys. So typically, after we finish up Sunday Night Football, we dive into the action from earlier on in the day, and that includes all the morning and afternoon games. So we want to make sure we do that here and get you geared up for Week 11 coming up Wednesday. But we would be giving you guys a disservice if we didn't break these things down for you, because I know you guys want to talk about a couple of these games, if not
especially this one.
But
speaking of elite quarterback play, Chris,
let's go. Goodness. So Kyler Murray was ruled out of this game, about an hour before the game. So I mean, that was already, you're thinking, oh man. So Cardinals in a weird spot. You have the Rams, who are kind of a trash team this year, haven't been able to get anything going, and you're like, what is this matchup going to look like? But the Cardinals get the win despite all the Kyler Murray being out, everything else. With today's win, Cliff Kingsbury is now 11-14 outright in his career as a favorite, and 17-16-1 outright as an underdog. He becomes the only coach in Super Bowl era with a winning record as an underdog and a losing record as a favorite. Figure that one out.
I can't fully.
What does that tell you if you're better as an underdog than as a favorite?
Straight up, not against the spread. Straight up.
Yeah. Outright his career as a favorite, outright as an underdog. Yeah.
Yep.
So, kind of crazy. That's not. I don't know if that's a great stat for him, because it means you're not winning games that you should be winning. But here we are. The Cardinals end up getting a win against the Rams. We talked about Cooper Kupp getting knocked out. So there was that. Then you had just all sorts of issues with the Rams in what they were putting on the field, because that was kind of a mess as well. I mean, you're looking at this game. Colt McCoy, by the way, is the backup. In case you weren't sure, and even Colt McCoy got knocked out for a second in this game. His knee got jacked, but he ended up, toughing it out. Wolford started for the Los Angeles Rams because there was an injury to Stafford and he wasn't playing. So this was just, you had a McCoy-Wolford head-to-head matchup here in this divisional matchup, and oh my goodness, what is this? That's what you're looking at on the screen. You're just like, what?
Bruh.
Just the marquee matchup of the weekend. I mean, it was just last year in the playoffs that the Rams beat the Cardinals by about 100 on a Monday Night Football game, wildcard weekend. And now the Rams have fallen into the depths of despair with, I don't even know if it would have mattered, honestly, if Stafford played today. Like, yeah, they haven't looked good with Stafford. Allen Robinson has not been the free agent pickup that everyone thought he would be. At least Colt McCoy, especially once Cooper Kupp went down for Wolford, like at least Colt McCoy has, Hopkins and Rondale Moore and Zach Ertz, Zach Ertz did go down with an injury as well today. So we'll see if he's healthy moving forward or not, but he was, I saw the play, he was clutching at his knee. So, we'll stand by to see what happens there with further injuries, but ultimately the Cardinals moved to 4-6 and the Rams moved to 3-6. Neither team looks like they're pushing the envelope to reach the Super Bowl, Chris.
Breaking news, and I guess it's not breaking news because Casually Average is saying Kupp might have avoided season-ending injury, but will likely be out for several weeks, which is basically the end of the Rams season anyways. So, yep, it's pretty much the Rams weren't going to be anything special. They did make the playoffs. Even if they miraculously somehow turned it around, they weren't going to. So, Rams back to the drawing board with no draft picks, like we talked about earlier. They F them picks, right? We don't need those. And guess what? This roster is starting to look worse and worse as the weeks go on, and it's not even. I mean, Sean McVay can't even get. I mean, he's the offensive guru, and he hasn't been able to get things rolling for anybody. So outside of Cooper. So Cards have great wide receivers. I hope for them. Or says Milwaukee's. I don't know. Football Wife says what happened to Ertz. Yeah, he's a little banged up.
It was a knee thing. It looked like, which is always not something you want to see.
What else do we got? Cards go undefeated the rest of the season, end up hosting and winning for both. Hot take. Biggs, hot takes already, man. Coming in the chat.
Big just coming in doing some sort of hey, what are you taking?
Hey.
And where can I get some? Because I'll try it. I'll try it once at least.
Ooh, man. Kyler putting down those controllers, huh? He's gonna focus on some
or
football.
They just better yet, are they just rolling with Colt McCoy the rest of the year?
I mean, the way Colt McCoy played, 26 for 37, 238 yards and a touchdown. So, I mean, bad. I mean, it wasn't a bad situation. So Hopkins, 98 yards receiving, more 94 yards receiving as well. So, I mean, they were able to get some things going there. Akers and Henderson running game for the Rams was really just non-existent. The team rushed for 66 total yards today. That's it. 66 yards.
That's pretty standard for them, though.
I mean, they're used to it, right? In Colt we trust, says JK. Got his crackhead confirmed.
Maybe.
I
don't even like smoke marijuana. And I live in Colorado, Chris. I'm pretty tame on the drug front. Haven't tried anything beyond marijuana. To be fair,
Colt is a dog. Yeah, I mean, Colt, you just don't see a lot of him. That's all. He's just not around. You don't really have a big thing. But anyways, Cardinals end up getting this win here. And, I mean, they improved to 4-6. And the Rams dropped to 3-6. So, we're looking at this, looking at the division standings. After this one, you also have San Francisco, getting the win here. So they're 5-4 behind the 6-4 Seahawks. Cardinals trying to get back in it as well, but the Rams are toast. So, that's where we're at with this one. Again, this is a weird game. Weird. I mean, just not a marquee matchup from like a play. Colt is not as good as Cooper. Oh, okay. Well, I mean no, who's better than Cooper? Nobody's better than Cooper.
I'm so done with Cooper Rush.
Cowboys beat the Packers with Super Cooper. I don't know if they do. Let's just.
I mean, they never scored 28 points with Cooper Rush, which is what the Cowboys scored today. So probably not. Maybe just don't allow Green Bay to get their most points of the season.
I will say Milwaukee's was nervous they would insert Cooper Rush and the game would be a little bit out of hand in favor of the Cowboys.
Let's spend a lot of time on this next one, by the way, Chris.
Panthers and Falcons in a rainy day.
I want to spend the next hour and really dive into what happened here.
Oh my goodness!
I saw only a little bit of because I was on vacation, but
well,
what I saw, I wish I didn't.
Falcons did not end up getting it done here against the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers improved to 3-7, and the Falcons are 4-6. So this one, I mean, a nice little rivalry here, and it wasn't a very exciting Thursday Night Football. I mean, I thought this was going to be a little bit more high octane with Atlanta. Atlanta is slowly starting to slow down, right? They were scoring points left and right over the course of the first, handful of games of the season. Just being super competitive in these games, and then they games against Carolina, and it's just like you just don't do anything really. But yeah, in this one, it was.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the Falcons can't throw, and they can't stop the run very well either. So Deontay Foreman ran all over him. But Chris, honestly, looking at these graphics right here, since McCaffrey got traded, the two hardest teams for me to think of, like, who am I going to put on the graphic, is literally like the Panthers and Falcons. like most people in the chat, if I asked you to name 4 players on this, actually, not even joking, with my buddy who I was on the trip with, who's not a huge football fan, but casual at least a little bit. I'm like, at first I was like, name 3 Panthers, and I'm like, no, forget that. Name 1 Panther. Name 1 Carolina Panther. And he said the word Phil. He was like, Phil, and I'm like, that's That's your guess? Like, this isn't Phil? And then I looked up, I'm like, well, PJ Walker, what's his first name? I looked it up. His first name's Philip, Chris.
Philip.
PJ Walker's Philip.
Hey.
I was like, oh, he got it. He got it.
Baker Mayfield. Sam Darnold. And we're plagued with injuries. We literally have practice squad guys on our, says Hauser. It's crazy. Why don't they put in Desmond Ritter?
Because their coach is super lame.
Yeah.
That's why. Their coach like continues to hand the ball off to like Tyler Algier when they're down like 20 points in the fourth quarter. Or
It's bizarre.
I don't know. You leave Kyle Pitts on like a big fourth down play in the fourth quarter. You just leave him like a 4th and 8. You leave Kyle Pitts blocking.
I mean,
that literally happened in this game.
They don't utilize Kyle Pitts the way they probably should. I mean, that guy's athletic as hell, and they just don't utilize it. Milwaukee's makes a good point, though. They played in a hurricane. Credit both teams. Okay, I could do that.
Sure, everyone survived. They'll all get T-shirts after the game saying, I survived. But we also get T-shirts for watching and surviving.
No, we all get T-shirts regardless. We all survived this, even if you were watching on Amazon Prime. Please say you used the picture I posted on Twitter for the Bronco game.
I didn't even get fun with the Broncos picture today. I was in a rush.
Here we go. Next up, we have the Browns and Dolphins. Now, this was the one game, Scotty, that you and I went heads up on. Yeah. And, you know,
I'll still contend I had the right side.
I know you will. I ended up having the Dolphins -3.5, and the Browns, I mean, they were getting some love, though. I mean, a lot of money was coming in on the Browns. I get it. I saw more love on the Dolphin side from my betting standpoint, but Dolphins end up just cruising against the Browns here. Browns tried to make a little bit of a run in the middle of this game, and then the Dolphins just put the pedal on the metal and just closed this one out at home. 39-17. Scotty, you know, we didn't talk about your bets, your best bets before this, and I know we were going heads up, but what was the Browns side that you really came to line on this?
This was super simple for me. A couple things. Browns looked great in their last game 2 weeks ago on Monday Night Football against the Bengals. They're coming off a bye. The Dolphins came into this. How many times had they won? I think I had it at 4. How many times this year do you think they had won by more than 4 points, Chris? Coming into this game.
Ooh.
I'll tell you. It's once. One time. They beat the Steelers by 6. They beat the Steelers by 6.
They've played some close games.
One of these teams had a plus point differential on the season, and that was the Browns. The Dolphins, negative point differential. Now, I know Tua missed some of those games, but the Dolphins' defense has pretty much by and large sucked. I thought the Browns were going to be able to at least hang in and keep it close, and this was going to be a back-and-forth game. But then the Dolphins decided to blow them out. Nick Chubb had a fumble. He never does that. Brissett wasn't good. They couldn't. Actually, this was the first game ever that the Dolphins' pass rush was continually getting home and getting pressure on Brissett. So they were clearly the better team today. I just think all the trends to me looked like the Browns were the right side, and it did not go down that way.
Tua is still undefeated in games that he's started and finished, complete Games. So as far as this season goes, so 3 touchdowns.
This season. Okay.
3 touchdowns, 285 yards passing. The running game, both top running backs from Miami, just crushed it. Both had a touchdown, and they combined for over 180 yards or so. So, I mean, they got the ball running on the ground. Waddle ended up, leading in 66 yards, no touchdowns, but 3 other receptions for just some random for Tyreek Hill was the only other one the big name that got a touchdown.
Weirdly quiet game for Hill though. Only 44 yards.
Yep. Yeah, and only 6 targets for Hill as well, long as 20. But
OG YOLO Koosh. Fins legit, I guess. So when you say they're legit, what are we talking? What's legit for the Fins? What does that mean? Does that mean they're a legit playoff team? They're legit in the AFC mix to represent, or they're legit Super Bowl contenders? What are they?
So right now, A playoff team. He says playoff team.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. No,
for sure.
And you picked you picked them to be in the playoffs, Scotty, before the season started.
Yep.
And they are right now leading the AFC East. You look at this AFC East standings at this very juncture, and you got Miami at 7-3. You got New York Jets 6-3. The Bills tied 6-3 with the Jets, and then the Patriots at 5-4. So, if you were to tell me that at this point in the week 10, that the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets would be winning this division. And Buffalo's tied with the Jets. I get that. But, the fact that
the Jets have the tiebreaker.
They do have the tiebreaker. I would have told you you're crazy. I would have said Miami wouldn't be as outlandish to have as a number one team, knowing that, if they have a good offense, they can put some wins together. I think they could be in the top 2. That's not far-fetched. The Jets and being where they are, and the Bills tied with the Jets being at that center spot of that division standings is kind of wild to me. So
you didn't have that? I had through 9 games the Jets and Bills tied.
Yeah, of course you did. Let's see, what else do we have in the chat? 2 more weeks until we hear about the Browns, Deshaun Watson. Oh my goodness, just wait for that. That's gonna be no one wants to hear that. Hard pass.
It's a trap.
I think he misses 11 games though, right? So okay. So they still have like 2 more games to play without him.
Jets.
This doesn't include the bye week, but gross.
Jets biggest surprise, but Wilson ain't it. Chairman, I picked them for the playoffs for Tua to have a breakout year. He's been pretty dang good considering doubts many had. Miami should be 6-4. Damn Steelers couldn't catch that Tua throw, save our lives.
Tua throw. There were like 4 of them.
Reckoning. I think it's safe to say that the elite wide receivers demanding a trade will go to the Jets. And then G Girl's like, yeah.
Well, there's one this season that's not demanding a trade, but is available. That's not going to go to the Jets in OBJ. We'll see where he ends up. But
how'd you do in the bowling tournament, Joker? Joker, the Vikings. I know you said you watched a little bit of it. We're going to get into that one. Ooh, man. All right. Next up on. So, all right. By the way, let me see who these teams both have next, real quick. So then you have the Browns at Buffalo next Sunday. That's not going to be too exciting.
That's not great for them.
Dolphins, after a bye, will host Houston on the 27th of November. So Dolphins.
They have back-to-back bye weeks. Good for them. They're going to be, 8-3 after that for sure. Sitting pretty.
By the way, it was a full house today for Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins distributed 66,563 tickets for the game, the most since Hard Rock Stadium was renovated in 2015. He was like, that's a cool stat. Just shows that you believe our fans have in our team a kind of like hype that they're trying to go for here for Miami. Isn't that weird, Scotty?
Sweet fair weather fans. Nice.
Just all those fair weather fans out there.
Just die-hard fan base that just only shows up when they're winning. Okay, cool.
Oh my goodness.
But that is cool. At least they're showing up now.
Hey, you know what? They're winning, and they got an exciting team at the moment. So I guess they'll take what they can get. If Buffalo loses to Cleveland, it's time to panic, says Reckoning. I don't see. I
don't think that's happening.
I don't think that's happening.
I still don't panic if you're a Buffalo fan. I will get to that game. But Chris, I got a code yellow again.
Code yellow it.
Drink a lot of water. A lot of water.
Not the hot moms part. I'm with you. Let's see. No, I love hot moms. Don't think franchise quarter. All right, fair enough. Is Deshaun Watson really coming back? Yeah. No, his suspension is going to be wrapping up here very soon. Guys, spam code yellow in the chat like all you guys are so used to doing every time we take a little break. I haven't hit mine yet, but I'm sure it's right around the corner. So these two teams going in a couple different directions here. By the way, the Browns 3-6, and the Dolphins again 7-3. Cowboys and Packers. You guys, you Packer fans. Packer fan was burying their face into the dirt, saying The world is ending. Just put me out of my misery. I'm done. Get out of here. And I was trying to be the uplifting vibe that you guys needed to get back on track. I was trying to help you. I was trying to be there for you, Packer fan. I was like, don't worry about this one. The Cowboys are going to come into this game, going to be bad on the road, because they typically are, especially in cold situations. Away from Dallas, they just don't play as well. Did I think the Packers were going to win this game outright? No, I liked them against the spread, +5. But they won outright. And they wanted to give it away, but they hung in there. They found a way to win this game. And I'm telling you, this was a big win for the Packers. Christian Watson had a massive game. It's the first Packers rookie with 2 receiving touchdowns in a game since Keith Woodside in 1988. Both of Watson's touchdowns came on throws of 20-plus air yards. The last Packer with 2 receiving touchdowns of 20-plus air yards in a game was Jordy Nelson. Remember Jordy Nelson? Jordy Nelson was a thing. Packer fans remember Jordy Nelson in 2014. 55-14.
Right of Kansas State.
There we go. 55-14 win over the Bears when Jordy Nelson was running around the field and, lighting things up with. But Christian Watson, again, crushing this game. So Packers end up winning this one. Rudy Ford had 1 career interception entering the day. He had played 20 defensive snaps in the previous 5 games combined. He now has 2 interceptions, becoming the first Packer with 2 interceptions in a first half since Clinton Dix in 2016 versus the Colts. So you had some defensive effort that we didn't see earlier on in the season for the Packers, getting some turnovers, creating some turnovers in the secondary. Yeah, it's a rookie wide receiver getting it done. And guys, it's not the end of the world, Packer fan. This was helpful. Is your team going to win the Super Bowl this year? Probably not. But you gotta give them a shot. Give them a shot. I gave them a shot this Wednesday.
Wait. I like that you're like, is a 4-6 team going to win the Super Bowl? And you're like, probably not. Like, I'm not going to say definitely not. Like, why wouldn't this 4-6 team win it? That was down 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, but credit to them. They did come back and made plays down the stretch. And yeah, the big controversy here is like McCarthy had, what was it? It was like a 4th and 3 or 4 in overtime. Dallas gets the ball first. It was at 4th and 3 at the Green Bay 35. I'm not like super swayed either way. I could see getting the 3, but also if you pick that up and continue to move the ball, you can end the game right there. It's in field goal range, but it's a 50-plus yarder at that point, so it's not a gimme either. Just stop saying the name Super Cooper. He's so bad. He won them some games.
Milwaukee's is still we still suck. The world is still ending. like that's all they've been hearing. McCarthy felt bad for Rodgers, that overtime call. You talk about that 4th down, casually, totally, yeah. I mean, I saw that and I was like, man, that's ballsy to go on that 4th down there.
And usually McCarthy's conservative, and I don't even listen, I don't think McCarthy's a good coach by any means, but maybe he was giving, a gift back to Green Bay after all those years of shitty coaching out there. I don't know, maybe. But this is the first time I've put a Rodgers smiling pic in a while in the graphic.
Rodgers,
I made sure it was a goofy looking smile though. Like he's on ayahuasca right there. That pick
didn't 100%. Stop him from having some words with LaFleur on the sideline a couple times during this game. There's still a lot of
nothing will stop that, Chris. That's an unstoppable force. Every game he's gonna have words. Nothing Rodgers has ever done on the field has been his fault.
No,
not once. He's been perfect.
Let's just say the Packers got back on track with this one. So, the Packers looking at this division, I mean, they're still, looking up at the Minnesota Vikings at the top, which we, called before the season started. But they're still second place here. Detroit 3-6, Chicago 3-7, Green Bay 4-6 here. Still,
Yeah, let me look. Yeah, where are they at in like the wild card thick of it? I mean, the NFC, they're they're in the mix because the NFC, no
bad.
one wants to make the playoffs in the NFC outside of a couple teams. Yeah, last team in right now is San Fran at 5-4. So at 4-6, yeah, of course you're in the mix.
Yep.
You're right there. San Fran lost, and you're a game back somehow.
So next up for these teams, you got Cowboys with a massive game.
Big one.
At Minnesota. Minnesota, we'll talk about what they did. Minnesota's 8-1, top of that division. So that's going to be a crazy game. By the way, Minnesota, if they can cap off a win this week and a win it with Dallas, I mean, we're starting to get to the point where they're starting to win some games that matter, that are against some decent opponents. Then we can reevaluate what we're talking about as the Minnesota Vikings. We've kind of been like, all right, well, they're good, but how good? We haven't seen them play some big time teams, and we'll talk about
big time team today.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Packers will host Tennessee Thursday night. So Green Bay. I mean,
over under of like 13 points. Total.
It's going to be so bad.
No one's gonna score in that game, Chris.
Can I pull up the over under now and just let me just I'm curious what that over under
if
line
I had
is
guess,
opening
and I
up.
haven't seen it, Chris. I would guess it's at roughly 37.
I was gonna say 37.5. Oh my goodness. They haven't said it 40.5 at the moment. That's the
40.5.
40.5 on FanDuel. Look ahead.
Offensive explosion.
Oh my goodness.
Which team's scoring? I mean, the team that scores 20 is winning this game. Both teams aren't scoring 20. I don't even know if one team's scoring 20.
It's not going to be. I mean, it's on par for most Thursday night football games to be in that range of just.
Why has it been? There is. I'm trying to think. Like KC, LA opened up the Thursday night. Well, after week 1. That was decent, and since then there's just like they've even tried. They had Baltimore Tampa as a Thursday night game, and it's like, oh, but Tampa actually sucks. So just kidding. That game's not gonna be good. I kind of feel bad for Amazon. I mean, I don't feel bad for Amazon, but they paid a lot of money for some shitty games, Chris.
Oh, Michaels is like literally up in the booth, like this game sucks. Like literally, he doesn't give a shit anymore. He's just like, this is a bad game. Like, he's saying it on the broadcast. Dak Prescott has twice as many losses as Cooper Rush this year. Just say it, says Chairman. And not as
win-loss is not a quarterback stat.
And not as many wins. Let's see. Just glad Cooper Rush didn't game, says Milwaukee's. Boofus. What's up, Boofus? Hey,
what's up? Thank you,
Michael BKC. Thank you for the tier 1s. Thank you for the 1 month sub. Welcome. Let's go. Hey, Michael. Thank you so much. First time subscriber. That's huge. Thank you for the generosity. Appreciate you being a part of our community. We have some emotes to mess around with now. Have some fun with it.
Chris, why don't you ask him who his team is?
Well, that's what I was about to
Where
get
are you
to.
from?
Who's your team and where you're from? We love to get to know each and every one. Thank you so much.
I have a guess, but I'm not sure, so I won't jump ahead.
Boofus, we going to talk about the last 3 games the Bears got cheated by the refs? Got cheated by the refs? We'll talk
We're going to talk about the Bears game today.
But I don't know.
Did the refs miss the extra point? Did the refs throw a pick 6 to Detroit?
Oh man, don't even think about it. Another 6-9 final score inbound, says casually. And that's why Amazon lost $1 trillion. What else do we got? Both teams were number 1 seeds last year, says Milwaukee's. Jeff Bezos still wants to buy the Commanders.
Milwaukee, that's a good point though. Packers Titans were it's weird to think about, but both the number 1 overall seeds in their respective conferences in the playoffs last year. Neither of them won a playoff game, but they were the number 1 seed nonetheless.
Another joke here from P3. If it plays, hold on. Maybe it's delayed. We'll see if it plays. Mr. Boofus, nah, but I missed the ref knee to miss that knee to Cole Kmet.
I'm trying to remember. I feel like I saw Cole Kmet get injured at some point, but I don't specifically. Now I'm drawing a blank on what that play was and what happened. To be honest.
Yeah, I saw it at the end, but it was on red zone, so yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, for some reason, I don't know why my audio or the audio is
all of a sudden now. It's because we had too many earlier on, and you shut it down, Chris.
I know. I don't know why it's not
and now
playing.
You're just
P3.
messing with them.
I don't know why.
Now you're just messing with them. They want those back.
Those
bits back.
I'll just read it. So we're having some issues with, like, it was working earlier. Now it's not. That's just how streaming works. Live streaming. I went on the Jungle Cruise the other day at Disneyland. I was hoping I'd run into the Dwayne Johnson or Guns N' Roses, but that didn't happen. I butchered that. Sorry.
This is why we don't pay you to do
this.
This
is why I don't. This is why I don't read. You know.
And good news, Chris. I was right. Michael BKC, lifelong Chiefs fan. Let's go.
Oh, there we go. All right, there we go.
Next Sunday night at the Chargers could wrap up the division. I mean, yeah, if the Chiefs win next week, move to 8-2 with the tiebreaker with second place at 5-5 Chargers, pretty much a done deal at that one.
Yeah,
but I don't want to just win the division. I want a fifth year in a row of playing the AFC Championship game at Arrowhead. And after today, guess who's sitting at the top of the AFC standings, Chris? It's not the Broncos.
Not the Broncos. Not the Broncos. Broncos Titans. Speaking of, we're gonna literally spend 2 seconds on.
Let's spend time.
No, don't need. We don't need. No, this game as a Broncos fan was painful to watch. So you know it's bad when when you're watching Red Zone as well on multiple screens, and they never flash to this game for any reason whatsoever, because not only did the Broncos struggle to score in this game, the Tennessee Titans struggled to score in this game. Broncos defense has been playing well, right? I mean, they decent defense. They teams on much pretty good check. I mean, the Titans scored a last touchdown to go ahead in this one. This was just not an eventful game. Realistic, I was just hoping that the Broncos had somewhat. This is exactly how this game I thought would play out. Actually, they ended up finishing off with a field goal at the end to make it a 7-point. And then Broncos had a chance at the last. Whenever you have the Broncos backed up in their own territory, and you need to force Russell Wilson to throw a touchdown on a game-winning drive, it's not looking good for your team. This wasn't a good situation for them. They struggled once again. They had one touchdown early on in this game from Russell Wilson, and that was all that we got excited about. That was pretty much it. So this one sucked. This was, 10-7 at halftime. Not a lot going on. It's not even worth talking about, Scotty. It's not even worth talking about. The Broncos next. The Broncos next week, by the way.
Hold on. Okay. Can I say anything about this game? Yeah. I just want to go over the first 9 possessions of the game, Chris. First 9 possessions of the game, because you said the Broncos scored early on, which is interesting because it was kind of early on
in the second,
but it was also the 10th possession of the game, because the first 9 went punt, 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 punt. That was the first 9 possessions of the game. 9 punts. Without both teams had a 60+ yard touchdown score in this game, Chris. Without those 2 plays, this game would have ended 7-3, 10-3. And the Titans' long one was on like a flea flicker. The Broncos was on like a broken coverage. It
was not good.
It was a football game that occurred technically, and the Titans heavy control of the AFC South at 6-3 now, so good for them. But
wait,
I went on Jungle Cruise.
Here we go. It finally hit.
I was hoping I'd run into To Rock the Dwayne Johnson or Guns N' Roses, but that didn't happen.
There it is. It finally hit. I don't know why it took so long. Delay. Let's hide. Let's hide.
I mean, it's not great. The good news is you still have the Chiefs twice, so
yeah.
That'll be good.
Michael, Broncos defense is the best in the NFL. Hey, they do have a good defense. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I mean, it's spicy.
It's spicy. It's good. I don't know if it's best in the NFL, but it's up there for sure. It's top 5 for sure.
I feel bad for Broncos fans. Thank you, football wife. I appreciate that. Like, and here's the thing. I mean,
I will never.
I'm a Broncos fan first and foremost, and I'm still repping the colors. I know it's a bad team, I'm repping it. World's not ending like it is in Green Bay, but poor Hackett got handed the clowns for first year as a head coach. Hackett's not it. Again, you mentioned this earlier, Scotty. We could have 3 coaches in the best division in football, quote unquote, get fired at the end of this, and it's going to look pretty rough. Broncos actually realized Jalen Virgil is on the team, then instantly forgot, says Cuban. Yep. They got that touchdown, and then it was done. It was crickets.
Chris, my second favorite team in the NFL this year is slowly turning into the New York Jets, because if they make the playoffs, that means the Denver Broncos have the longest playoff drought in the NFL, and I'm so here for it. I'm so excited for that to be true. Excited.
It's going to be rough, man. It's going to be a rough ride. I know I'm in for one, but you know what?
He didn't say what type of ride it was going to be. He just said, let's ride. He didn't say whether it was going to be a fun ride, an awful ride, a dangerous ride, a spicy ride. He didn't say.
It's spicy.
So it's not Russell's fault.
Only true fans stick around through the... That's right, Boofus. See, Scotty stuck around through all of his losing seasons with the Chiefs. He's here.
Bad years.
He's in promising, territory now. I had all the successful years. Now I'm just in the basement. And it's you got the good and the bad. You got to take it all. It's part of being a... What I'm saying? Oh, by the way, let me go back to that real quick. Broncos have another barn burner. They host the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday. And honestly, I don't hate them in that matchup, knowing... let's see. What is this? Broncos are 2.5-point favorites at home in Denver, which means it's bad. It's bad.
What's the total?
41.5. That's more than the Packers Thursday night football.
Just by a point. Only by a point.
Oh man, that's gonna be an interesting. So Denver hosts Las Vegas next Sunday, and it's a quick turnaround again. We talked about it. Tennessee visiting Thursday night for the super exciting match. So there you go. Please tell me it's not Thursday. No, Thursday night is definitely reserved for another exciting match.
I don't know if it's better, but it's not Denver.
You don't have to worry about Denver yet. Well, since you asked so nicely, as football wife, you don't.
She did say please.
She's like, please
Good
don't
manners.
please don't have Denver. All right, we'll reward you, football wife, with Packers and Titans, with the over/under being next up, Lions and Bears. Now, all right, so you were talking about this earlier, Buffett, about some missed calls and some things that were maybe not going the ways that they should have for this game. But this one was wild. Justin Fields, by the way, he's the next Michael Vick. He's the next Lamar Jackson, and he was even putting up bigger numbers at some points in games. Justin Fields is the fourth player in NFL history to record a 50-yard pass touchdown, a 50-yard rushing touchdown in the same game alongside Ace Parker, Cam Newton, and Lamar Jackson. So, some there to be compared to. Chicago has now rushed for 200 yards in 5 straight games, the longest streak since the 1976 Steelers. They are doing it on the ground. I mean, you're talking about, is this the NFC version of the Baltimore Ravens? I mean, it seems that way. And just say Justin Fields is looking like the best quarterback out of that draft class. We've talked a lot about that, but man, what a game here. Also, Bears, Lions, both teams still kind of like trying to find their way, but still over the last couple of weeks have been kind of exciting to watch. And this did not disappoint, coming down to a 1-point game. Lions end up out.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it looked like the Bears were in control. They got up 24-10 in the third, and even got the ball back after being up 24-10. But here's their last drives of the game after they got the ball back up 24-10. 3 plays, 5 yards, punt. 2 plays, -8 yards with a pick six. And then they had a 3-play, 75-yard touchdown drive, which was a 67-yard run from Justin Fields, which was incredible. And then 3 plays, 5 yards, 6 plays, 2 yards, and turn it over on downs to lose the game at the end. So I agree. Justin Fields is exciting to watch, and it seems like they're figuring it out. The offense is far more capable than it was even in the beginning parts of this year and certainly last year. The defense is still bad. The offensive line is still bad. But he's making plays, and he's even the last play of the game, like there were like 8 guys that could have tackled him and missed, and then he still got sacked. So credit the Lions though, coming back from 24-10 down. It's not really what the Lions do. But after scoring a touchdown, then getting that pick six to tie it up. Now, like I said, so it was tied 24-all. You get the big touchdown from the Bears, and they missed the extra point, so they're only up 6. And the Lions are able to score late to win 31-30 on an 8-play, 91-yard drive. So still a long way to go for both these teams, but Lions at least are making some progress at 3-6 now. Bears fall to 3-7. You love a lot of what's happening on offense, although you want it to be a little more consistent and a little more. You can replicate that week to week, but that offensive line needs to be improved, and the wide receiver core still does too. But the defense is still bad for both these teams, and so the upside can only be so much. So, but exciting game. Like this was probably the second most exciting game of the weekend.
Yeah.
Without that Buffalo Minnesota game, this is a fun one to watch. Actually, it was a little slow. I had the over in this one, Chris.
You nailed the over by a million.
I had 40. I think it was at 48.5. But it was 10-10 at half, so I was like, not great. And then they took off in the second half and covered pretty easily on that over. But exciting game nonetheless, and Lions come away with a close win, which doesn't happen often.
Yeah, I mean a 21-point fourth quarter for Detroit will get you in the over conversation most weeks. You'll take that. Justin Fields, 147 yards on the ground, rushing, 2 touchdowns. Cole Kmet, 74 yards, 2 touchdowns through the. So yeah, some promising there. Jared Goff, 236 yards, 1 touchdown, and Williams on the ground, 59 yards. Swift had a touchdown. 6 carries for. So there you go, Lions and Bears. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at who these teams have next. They have the Lions visit the New York Giants. So Lions and Giants. I don't know. That could be an interesting
Chairman
one.
Versus G Girl.
Yeah, that could be an interesting one there. Bears visit Atlanta next Sunday. So Bears looking to see if they can, knock off Atlanta, who hasn't. I don't know, man. I don't know what you're getting with them.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, Texans and Giants. Giants.
Speaking of those Giants,
continue to keep rolling. And let's just
rolling.
Look at this.
They beat a team that everyone beats.
Well, true.
But yeah.
True. But at the same time, they're 7-2, looking up at only the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles. And I mean, at this point, the Giants are doing what they need against some of the bad teams. So they end up getting a nice win here against the Texans. Texans aren't anything. I mean, sorry to all the Texans fans. I know we have like Spees in the benchmark, rep Texans down there. But man, just not their year. Just like most years. However, the Giants, it is their year. This is the closest they've been to relevant in a long time, and here they are, 7-2. behind the Eagles, trying to do something they haven't done in a while, and that's, make a nice big playoff run. You got Daniel Jones going 197 yards, 2 touchdowns, also doing 24 yards on the ground. Saquon 152 yards and 1 touchdown. So he's obviously just crushing always. Pierce on the other side, Houston rushing has been a nice little bright spot for Houston, wanting to figure out what they can get excited about. Pierce is a nice little talent on that rushing offense. So, Scotty, don't need to probably spend a lot of time on this one, but here we are: Giants 7-2, Texans 1-7 on the.
Yeah, the Giants didn't play their best game by any means today, but it kind of feels like they knew they didn't have to do much. I mean, Daniel Jones only threw the ball 17 times, and he was effective doing it. 197 yards and 2 touchdowns. Barkley, 35 carries, 152 yards, so he was very effective on the ground, which the Texans cannot stop anyone on the ground, so that's not surprising when you're facing a top back in the league. And, the Texans in the second half had opportunities and continued to shoot themselves in the foot with turnovers or having to settle for field goals rather than touchdowns. So they kind of do what the Texans did, and the Giants did enough to win a game they're supposed to win and move forward. So credit to the Giants for that. But the Texans need to start thinking about, I hope they're looking at the quarterbacks that are going to be up in this next draft. They need to rebuild in a lot of places, but that's a big spot where, listen, I don't think Davis Mills is it. He threw for 319 yards today, but too many bad decisions, had a bad pick. Just doesn't have, he's not the guy.
Yeah, and that was one of the but here's the thing with the Houston Texans that you're excited about is the fact that for a fact that he's not the guy. Because we were coming into the season like, oh, he's shown some flashes. This was kind of the season of, is my guy the guy? Or are you not that guy?
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me.
And
you're not that guy.
He's not that guy.
He also has one of the worst wide receiving cores in the league.
True.
It's really bad.
But it feels good to know that you can make a decision on a guy that's probably not that guy. So with that being said, Houston can go back to the drawing board in the draft and try to find some, which, is totally fine. Take that. As opposed to being like, he's kind of good, but kind of not. Kind of like a Tua situation. Tua was in that predicament this year, trying to figure out if he's the guy. Still trying to figure out, like, on the grand scheme of things, top quarterbacks in the league, is he still up there with some guys? I don't know. Say that he's good. He's good. Like, I think that at least Houston can kind of move on. I think.
Cameron does ask a good question, though. Where are they going to get another QB with that kind of neck to body ratio?
No, nowhere.
His neck might be longer than Bryce Young is tall, quite frankly. So I don't know. It's a tough world out there.
Yeah, it's rough. Fields is by the way, Milwaukee. I'm gonna get back in the chat here. Let's see. Like I said earlier, the Bears outline Lions. What else do we got? In the Hauser put money on the Bears. Okay. There you go, Hauser. Funny in G Girls League, I pay here next. Going in on the Giants have channeled their inner Eli. Where are they gonna get another QB that kind of neck? Again. I like Nico Collins. Love it.
Yeah, but as your one, yeah.
All right. Next up, we have the Colts and the Raiders. Now, this was one of my best bets of the week, and this was looking great up until this a couple breakout touchdowns that were just a Jonathan Taylor touchdown that kind of came out of nowhere and put some points on the board and did it in a lot less time than what I was expecting. But he had a 66-yard touchdown rush. It was the fourth 60-yard touchdown rush of his career, tying Lenny Moore for the most touchdowns at 60-plus in Colts history. According to Next Gen Stats, Taylor reached a max speed of 20.64 miles per hour, the fastest max speed by a Colts ball carrier this season. I mean, he's he's the guy you want to have, right? But I had the under in this one, Scotty. I had under, and it just barely hit by 2.5 points. The over. So I was thinking to myself, man, this game looked great as the under. I mean, I was watching this one a little bit. I would normally not watch this game. This was not a game that I would be excited to. Hauser, off to bed, guys. Hope you have a great rest of your stream. Thank you, Hauser, for being here. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for the love. Appreciate you being, and it means a lot that you guys, especially are popping in part of the stream. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for
Have
the
a
bits
good
also.
night.
But you had a 7-0 game after the first quarter. Then you had 14 total point, 20 total points going into halftime. Feeling good, knowing these teams haven't been very good offensively. And then, they kind of pretty much did the same thing in the second half. There wasn't a lot of scoring in this game that was, you could get excited about. And sure enough, it just happened to hit barely on the over again. Just fell a little short here. Colts end up getting the win. The Raiders dropped to 2-7. Colts 4-5-1. Colts are probably the best 4-5-1 team in the world. I look at this team and I'm like, how is this team 4-5-1? Like, they win games.
You mean worst 4-5-1 team?
Or yeah. That's what I'm saying. Or yeah.
You said best, and I was like, what?
Sorry. Worst. I'm sorry. Worst. And this was also the interim head coach's first win. Jeff Saturday coming in. The big news this week was the fact that Jeff Saturday came in off the street, coaching a high school game and working on ESPN to come in out of nowhere, blindsiding everybody in the sports world, taking this job when Jim Irsay's like, yeah, I'll just go with this guy. And Jeff Saturday did his job, man. He won this first game. But if you're a Raiders, I mean, Josh McDaniels just trying to prove himself, and he loses to Jeff Saturday. Someone in the chat said it earlier, like, man, it's bad when you're losing to Jeff Saturday in his first game ever as a head coach. But here we are, coach of the year, Jeff Saturday, says chairman. Scotty, got it, man. He got that first dub.
Man, the Raiders defense is so bad.
Look at
Like,
this dude.
the Colts continually on their game-winning drive. So the Raiders were up 2019 in this one. The Colts game-winning drive was just an embarrassment from the perspective as a Raiders fan. Continually wide open guys in the middle of the field, and then even worse though, somehow they get a fumble that just basically goes straight to a Raiders guy. And does he recover it? Absolutely not. He's like, hard pass, no thank you. And the Colts somehow recover where there was nowhere near the ball at the time. The ball just trickled to the Raiders guy, and he's like, no, I don't. Why would I want this? What would I do with it? And then the Raiders still had an opportunity. They had 1st and 10 at the 19 of the Colts with a minute and a half to go and couldn't do anything else from there and fell on 4th down on a deep fade route to Devontae Adams, which I guess is fine, but also a weird play. Football wife Derek Carr was absolutely basically crying in the press conference, getting emotional, and I wasn't even like fully understanding what he was saying. It was kind of confusing, but he was just talking about like guys have to like put their bodies through a lot and they have to practice during the week in order to sleep or something. It was very confusing. I'm like, and then he repeated it again, and I'm like, I don't think you know what you're saying right now. Maybe you should get off the stand. Someone call that man down and get his shit together. But ultimately, the Raiders are now 2-7, Chris. Part of me is a little furious about that because I'm in like this wins pool where you pick 4 teams, and I have the Raiders. I have the Chiefs and Eagles, Chris. I have the 2 top seeds in both conferences, and I'm a dumpster fire because I also have the Raiders and Texans.
Oh no. Yeah. No, that it all averages out in the end, right? I mean, especially 2 top versus 2 bottom. And Tank Bowl. What else? Again, this chat. 7 Sly. What a mess by the Raiders. What's they're pretty
interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
No, they were just saying what's their predicted record now. I mean, they're at this point, it's not good. It's not good. Raiders are so disappointed. They need to go back to Oakland.
I mean, the interesting question is if they continue to lose games and they have the opportunity to be high up in the draft and take a quarterback, do they? It's an interesting question. I don't know. I don't know what the answer for sure is.
I mean, Milwaukee says you could always trade for Cooper Rush. Jeff Saturday can go always trade for Cooper Rush too. Derek Carr was crying in the press. Oh, if the mascara was running. Adams gets going to the Raiders. By the way, I saw some stuff in the media that Adams was like, if you're not going to use me the right way, or if you're not going to like throw me the, and I saw real quick, so I didn't.
It was something along the lines of, if you're not going to throw to me because I'm being double covered, then you're never going to throw me the ball because I'm always double covered.
Yeah, and it was like Adams is not having a great time there. It's looking really rocky in the Raiders organization at the moment. Yeah. Devil Duck Balls. They should have kept Rich. Yeah. I mean,
they should have.
There was no.
He did a great job.
There was no
great job.
Reason why they shouldn't have brought him back. Realistic. Like, he battled through so much adversity last year with the Raiders, given all the things that took place at that organization, all the distractions, all the bad situations, and they still were winning games. Like, had to.
It's the ego of the Davis family. First Al, now Mark. Mark being like, but he's a no name. Nobody knows that guy. I don't care that he did well for us. I need somebody that's a name that people know. So let's go get Josh McDaniels, and that's going great, going real well.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Saturday saved Matt Ryan's career from being over, at least now. No, his career's been over for like years. It's been good. Yeah, but it's been a while, man.
It's still over. It's still over.
It's either way.
But he gets to play a little bit.
Yeah, he gets to ride into the sunset, pretty much. What kind of contract did Adam sign with the Raiders?
It was just under $30 million a year. It wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
Somewhere in between like 27, 28, I want to say, a year.
Rec, what is Rich's last name, by the way, Chris? You challenging me now? Bisaccia? I don't know.
Well, which one? Is it Fakasha or is it
Fakasha? But is there an F in there? Yeah. So this game was just it wasn't great. So this was on par with some of the Broncos game. So Colts are running into a buzzsaw next week. They host Philadelphia, so don't expect a lot from the Colts. But who knows what Jeff Saturday can draw up there. And as we mentioned, the Raiders play in Denver next Sunday for that big AFC West match of the bottom dweller. So we'll keep an eye on that. Next up, Chiefs and Jags. Jags doing everything they can to stay above water here, but the Chiefs obviously are the better team. Don't need to spend too much time here necessarily, because I mean we could break this one down pretty quickly. Chiefs are good, Jags are bad. On to the next one. But I know we want to talk about your boys. We want to talk about the Chiefs and what they did today. They had a couple mishaps here and there. You know, they had a couple plays that maybe didn't go their way. You know, and the Jags took advantage of those. A couple head scratching plays from the Chiefs. But I mean, it doesn't really matter when you're up and you have the best offense in the league. So they end up getting this one a nice 10-point win here. This was one of my best bets of the week, and it just by a half point.
You had 9.5 on the Chiefs?
I had the 9.5 on the Chiefs, and I really thought that this would be even more of a blowout than it was. But the Jags made me sweat this one out a little bit. So I did end up getting 9.5 on the Chiefs. I'm glad I got it before it hit 10 because I would have put. But Chiefs end up getting the dub here. Scotty, what did you see in this one from the boys? What did you see from the Jags?
I mean, couple takeaways for the Chiefs. Yeah, they had some bonehead plays, but in a game where they were missing, well, Juju went out with a concussion in the second quarter on a hit that somehow was flagged and then they picked up, which was appalling that they picked it up because it was helmet to helmet beyond belief. We'll see what that means for Juju moving forward. He might be out another week, but we'll see. And then they were already without McCole Hardman, so that's kind of their top 2 wide receivers, actually, Chris, headed into the game as far as receiving yards on the year. They still Mahomes still threw for 331, 4 touchdowns, pick. 2 noteworthy players here. Maybe they found a semblance of a running game with Isaiah Pacheco, 16 carries, 82 yards, and even more importantly, Kadarius Toney is legit.
Oh,
Dude, that dude's filthy. I'm so excited as he gets more integrated in the offense. He had a couple plays today where I was just like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know why the Giants got rid of you and traded you, but we'll take you. He, by next year, could be the most talented and leading receiver on this offense. He's that good. So, he's legit. As far as Jacksonville, I don't know. They were kind of bland and whatever. Kind of like they are.
Also, Kadarius Toney's touchdown, one of his touchdowns, was that his only one? He only had one, right?
Yeah, that was the only. Yeah,
had 20.4 yards of separation, the most separation on a pass touchdown since Next Gen Stats have been tracked since 2016. So he can get free. Also, another noteworthy thing: the Jags thought they were going to get out to a fast start in this one with an onside kick right off the top of the game in the first quarter, opening kickoff, and recovered, which was kind of, it's just like poking the bear, right? Like at the end, it's just like, yeah, congratulations. But yeah, we're just gonna actually play this game. So they did what they can. They tried to be tricky with it.
They got an onside kick. Pacheco did fumble. When I said good things about him, he fumbled inside the 10-yard line in the first half. That was recovered. His first career fumble by the Jags that hurt. Our special teams was a dumpster fire. Bucker missed another extra point, which is just annoying. But this one was like 27-10 late, and then Jacksonville did score, but then didn't really threaten at all after that with their last possession that they got late. People talking about CEH, yeah. Clyde Edwards-Helaire didn't see the field really at all. Well, he was on the field, but he didn't have a single carry or a single reception in this game, Chris. It looks like they're moving towards Pacheco on first and second down, with Jerick McKinnon on third downs being the pass catching back. He had 6 catches for 56 yards. So CEH could be the odd man out, which quite frankly I'm fine with. Dude's kind of trash.
Yeah, I think you want to go and
he's so frustrating.
And
he's
I feel
so
like
slow.
Andy Reid has done this a couple times, I think, in the past, where like he's kind of shifted to some other guys, like probably midway through the season, thirds of the way through the season, to try to like get his rotation for. I don't know. I think that's a good move. I think that I'm with you. There's a lot to like about Pacheco. Let's go. They have him for at least the next 2 years. Oh, the Devontae. Then they could get out fairly cheaply if they wanted to.
Yeah, two more years, but it's actually not cheap after that. It's still almost $16 million in dead money the following year, which isn't cheap, especially when it's a wide receiver. $16 million in dead cap is a lot, but those last 2 years he's supposed to make $44 million each year. So 44 or 16, they might say, see ya.
Yeah. Jags next week. So by the way, Jags dropped to 3-7, Chiefs 7-2. Jags next week are off, but they play the Ravens starting on November 27th. So it doesn't get easier for the Jags when it comes to their matchup. They still have a nice little tough schedule ahead of them. Chiefs visit the Chargers next Sunday night. So we'll have that AFC West matchup next Sunday night here for you guys in the Action Lab. So make sure you guys are here for that. So anything else on the Chiefs Jags? I think,
No, they kind of did what they were supposed to, and moving on, and looking forward to having them wrap up the division this many weeks in advance after they beat the Chargers on Sunday night next week.
Hey, Phoenix, Skull, baby. Yeah, we haven't even got to that one yet, but guess what? It's up next. Welcome in. First time chatter. Hey, welcome. Hope you are having a fantastic Sunday night. This is the premier matchup of the weekend. Let's go. And also, Joker Nation is a Vikings fan as well, Phoenix. So let's just say you have some nice, you have some fellow Vikings fans keeping company here. But this game was out of control, Scotty. This Bills game, obviously, there was questions coming into this one with whether or not Josh Allen was going to play. The line indicated, in my opinion, like early in the week, this line was like hedged. So it was like if he plays, it's a balanced line when it came to Vegas odds. So it seemed like it was going to lean towards him not playing, but then got clear play in this, and there was scoring out the gate when it came to Buffalo. Buffalo going into the half, 24-10, looking like they were in control of all of this game. And then slowly but surely, first of all, you had Justin Jefferson having the catch of the year. Did you see that catch, Scotty?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Catch of the year, out of control. He is just insane. But it all comes down the last play on fourth and goal on the 1. This was the craziest sequence of the entire game. 4th and goal on the 1, and end up getting stuffed. 4th and 1. Then there's a penalty, offsides. You have another shot at it, and then you get just it's stuffed. You're done. You don't even get it in. Turnover on downs. Bills take over. End up fumbling on the 1 yard line, touchdown Minnesota, and then ends up. I mean, there was enough time to get this game into overtime with a field goal, so it ended up going down the field and tying this one up, and the Vikings end up winning this one in overtime. Which, I mean, this was a longer overtime too. It wasn't a quick overtime. It took a little bit to get through this one, but Vikings end up coming out with the win here, 33-30, and I mean, some of the turnovers in this game, I mean, you had 2 interceptions by Josh Allen.
Anakin.
And a
Start
fumble.
Panicking.
Anakin start panicking. Cousins, 2 interceptions himself, 1 touchdown, 357 yards. Dalvin Cook was a big piece of this, though. 119 yards, 1 touchdown, and one of which was an 81-yard rushing touchdown for Dalvin Cook. So he was cooking, so to speak. But Josh Allen, 84 yards on the ground himself for Buffalo. Diggs, 128 yards through the air. But Jefferson, 193 yards, 1 touchdown. And like, I was watching this one, and I was just in disbelief. What was taking place at the end of this game, Scott?
Yeah. I mean, it was. Listen, this felt. At one point, I remember Buffalo and Kansas City were both up 27-10, and I was like, oh, they're both doing what they're supposed to do. They're marching on. And then right after Buffalo gets up 27-10, one play later, you talked about the Dalvin Cook 81-yard touchdown run. Next drive, Buffalo's got a 4th and they drive down the field, march right down the field, have a 4th and 2 at the Minnesota 7. Instead of kicking a field goal to go up, 30-17, they decide to go for it. Allen actually gets picked off, and then it gets taken back to around the 35 by Patrick Peterson on a play that just didn't really have any chance. They score. Minnesota does to cut it but miss the extra point, ironically.
Yep.
So, like, everything, already crazy things are happening. So instead of it being a 3-point game, it's a 4-point game. Buffalo goes 3 and out. And that's when Minnesota drives down the field, has the insane catch from Justin Jefferson on that drive on like a 4th and 18, where I still don't know how he came down with it to save their opportunity in this game. And it still didn't matter. They get down to 4th and goal, or 4th and goal at the 1.5. And on that offsides play, Chris, like, really, Dalvin Cook should have caught the ball and scored on the initial one, but they got the offside, so they get another chance. They try and sneak it with Kirk Cousins. He doesn't get in either. So, at that point, I'm like, all right, well, I mean, that sucks, but they barely lost out. And then Josh Allen fumbles the snap, recovered by by Minnesota for a touchdown. And then, of course, but there's still like 40 seconds to go.
40
so
seconds.
without timeouts, Josh Allen just marches down the field, gets an easy chip shot field goal to take it to overtime. Minnesota gets the ball to start overtime, marches down the field pretty easily, but gets bogged down in the red zone, kicks a field goal. And then, like, Josh Allen's just carrying them down the field, running. It's with ease down the field, and they get in the red zone. And he throws a really bad pick.
It's a bad one
to close this game out. Like, way behind the receiver, in the middle of the field at the goal line, like, not close. It was kind of a bizarre throw in the first place. So big win by Minnesota in a game that they looked like they were out of at one point. Buffalo, this is kind of the second time they've kind of choked away a game where they had a nice lead on. The good news is Josh Allen looks healthy. He looked fine out there as far as the whole injury concern, but too many mistakes down the stretch, and the muffed snap being the biggest one of those. Fumbling that snap, you just can't. That's the only thing you can't do there. And they did it. So wild, crazy game, back and forth. Congrats to Minnesota getting to 8-1, with their only loss being against undefeated Philadelphia. So while we still question them a little bit on where they're at, they're winning football games, Chris, and there's something to be said for that.
Well, and they're starting, and there's a couple narratives in this one. One, we were saying, all right, we're still trying to figure out what the Minnesota Vikings are, because I mean, again, we've been wanting to have a marquee win on their resume, and I mean they've had some. I mean they beat Green Bay early on. We thought that was a marquee win. Turns out Green Bay's not very good. I mean, they beat Detroit, New Orleans, Chicago, Miami was a pretty decent win, but that was without that was when Tua was knocked out. So a Miami team without Tua. You had Arizona, we don't believe in Arizona, Washington, and then here was that marquee, right? And now you have Phoenix. You have it right here. This is the solid win. And if you play Dallas next week, which Dallas I think is going to be a nice challenge as well, and you take care of Dallas, all right, we're talking a little bit more about these Minnesota Vikings being a little bit stronger than maybe we would have expected. So I think this is a big win for them on that standpoint. Also, I'm kind of curious what this says a little bit about. Is Buffalo still trying to? I don't want to take away anything from what Minnesota did. I get what they did what they had to do. They came back, they won this game, and I think that's a huge win. On the flip side, I think Buffalo still has some of that clutch stuff going on that we saw what happened last year in the playoffs with Kansas City, where they kind of choked away a game. Not to say that they choked this game away. I think Minnesota did a great job at winning this game. But I felt like the defense kind of let them down at times. And I also felt that Josh Allen kind of and I felt like they reverted back to a bit of what we saw at the end of the last season in that Kansas City game, Scotty.
Yeah. Ultimately, I'm not. Listen, Buffalo's going to be right there at the end of the season in the mix in a close game that is maybe a coin flip, and they either win or they lose, but they're still really good.
They are.
I think this is a bigger statement for Minnesota than it is for Buffalo.
Agreed.
For me losing. And now Minnesota's got to come right back next week against Dallas in a tough game. Dallas is actually favored in that one, so slight favorites, I think, at like 1.5 in Dallas. So that's going to be a fun one to watch. Dallas coming off a loss is probably going to be raring to go, and Minnesota is probably feeling great about themselves. So that'll be interesting. But ultimately, Buffalo's still going to be there. This is certainly a statement win for Minnesota. But again, Minnesota in their last, ever since week 1 and 2, which was a blowout win and a blowout loss, every single one of their wins since then has been by 1 score or less. So they're winning the games they always used to lose. So credit to them.
Yeah.
They were, every other year they were always in close games, and they seem to lose a lot of those. Now they're winning those close games. So credit to them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of love for Vikings in the chat. A lot of Phoenix and popping in and repping his boys here. They also lost undefeated teams. So, I mean, it makes sense. Now we have a really solid win. My buddy delivers DoorDash and delivered Josh Allen recently. Got tipped $11. AK, I mean, cashing in. Just throwing that out there. I mean, I guess
What was the tab? What was the amount?
Yeah, I guess if it's like, and DoorDash can kind of be up there, but I mean, if it's like a $13 DoorDash and it's $11, I mean, that's a pretty good tip, I would think. If I'm a DoorDash,
Sure.
Just saying.
And what's he supposed to do? Just because he's Josh Allen and has money, he's supposed to tip you like $100 to every time he gets DoorDash? I don't know.
Reckoning, no, the Bills choked this away.
I mean, they choked in the sense of like the fumbled snap was.
I think that was the biggest.
Was a big choke, and then Allen's poor choice at the end in overtime, where they were already in field goal range to at least tie the game up and see what happens. And it was second down, so they had another down to play with. So those two plays, you could maybe say they choked a little bit, but overall, crazy stuff happened. I mean, quite frankly, the Vikings missed the touchdown with Kirk Cousins on the sneak by like inches. So it's literally a game of inches, Chris.
True.
True.
Vikings win because no. Again, Mini is. I should just get a Super Cooper emote. Can I get a Super emote ever?
I'll just have to not look at the chat, Chris.
Yeah. We'll get a super. It's a trend now. It's part of our identity.
Gross.
I don't know. We'll have to play with that. Mini is good, but it looks. But it's like you watch them just waiting for the Cousins. I mean, he didn't have a clean game. It wasn't a completely perfect game from him. Again, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 357 yards passing. So I mean, but he got it done when it done, right? They still made the plays, get themselves in a game.
Chris, you traded Justin Jefferson in a fantasy league last week, right?
I was going to, and then there was there was some drama with it, and I mean, either way, my team's trash. So, I'll tell you a little bit about that one.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff. Scotty, I got a bet for you. If Dallas doesn't win a playoff game, you got to buy a Cooper Rush jersey.
I'm not there yet. No, that's too high stakes.
Let's see.
I don't want any part of a Cooper Rush jersey.
What else do we have? He screws up multiple times, the game still wins it. Most underappreciated quarterback in my opinion. Just not in prime time, says JK. And again, there is prime time Kirk that we need to worry about at some level. Let's see. Cousins never has a clean game, says. So anyways, either way, this is a big marquee win for Minnesota Vikings, who we've been kind of like, what are they? Well, they're starting to prove themselves that they're, one, I think they're better coached than they typically are. And two, they're starting to get the marquee win. Again, they can get another one next week against Dallas Cowboys. And that would be, so we'll see what happened there. The Bills play Cleveland, so they should get back on track. I don't have any issue with that. So here we go. What a crazy game. Saints and Steelers. The Steelers, Wreck, Devil Doc. Hey, here you go. You want to talk about marquee wins? Here it is. Steelers, marquee win over the Saints. Scotty. Doubling up.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. What do you got?
It seemed, I don't know. Every time I saw it on Red Zone, it seemed like Andy Dalton was turning the ball over. Nice win for the Steelers against the Saints team that's kind of reeling right now and not playing well. 1-3 now away from home, and Andy Dalton tried to fumble a couple times, threw a couple picks, didn't have it going. Kenny Pickett, on the other hand, was okay. Didn't do anything crazy, but I don't know. In a hard-fought game, it was kind of a defensive battle back and forth. The Steelers got the W. I don't have a ton to say about this game, to be honest, Chris. No offense, Rack and Devil Doc. Glad you guys got to watch a win today, but I don't know.
I mean, you had the return of TJ Watt. TJ Watt came back into this one. So, he had 4 total tackles, coming back, trying to, getting in the mixing thing. I mean, he's good enough to help swing a game by himself against some teams. He's really good. Pickens, we've been fan of Pickens, right? 1 touchdown in this one. It was kind of one of the tricky rushing touchdowns there. Pickens and Pickett both had touchdowns from a rushing standpoint, but no thrown touchdowns for Pickett. He was looking kind of athletic today, though. I mean, he was running around there. He's trying to do his best Justin Fields impression. So Dalton just looks like Dalton. He has like one good game, one bad game, and then like you just. But 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown, 174 yards. So nothing special to write home about there. Chris Olave, Landry, Johnson on Orleans receiver. There was nothing really exciting there. When you only score 10 points in this game and you're shut out in the second half by the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's starting to look like it's a rough road. So Saints, we could stop talking about the Saints defense. We could stop talking about the Saints being a sneaky team. They're starting to just be that bad team that we just know what they, right?
They were awful offensively in the second half.
Just know that
who you want to credit for that is up to you, but they were awful in the second half on offense.
Yeah, it wasn't even. Saints host the Los Angeles Rams. You want to talk about a Saints and Rams game coming up next week? Gosh, man, another snoozer. Not going to be a great high octane game to go check out on your Steelers. Welcome Cincinnati next week. So a nice divisional matchup. Could be interesting there. The Cincinnati Bengals haven't looked as prolific. So, I mean, back on track here with the win, though. So who knows what that game is going to look like. But anytime you have a division, AFC North division matchup, you always kind of tune in. One of those games or those kind of matchups. Regardless of how bad the teams are, how good the teams are, they always tend to be. What else do we have in the chat? I know we had things here. Cooper, Raw, JK. Steelers get a Super Bowl. They just got to buy tickets. Go. It feels like the Steelers got a new quarterback every week. We're 2-0 with the Pigeons. Release the Rally Pigeons. Red Rockets. Who wins the fight between My Pillow Guy and the Flex Seal? Question act. I'll go with the Flex Seal. That guy's got a lot of Vikings. Automatic hate. Scotty, I thought Matthew Wright was supposed to be good. What the hell happened?
No, he was absolutely not good. He's a backup kicker for a reason with us, like that we pulled off the street. So no, not good. Not good for us. Not good for you.
I wonder what happened the last time the Steelers and the Bengals played each other. Says,
oh, throwing shade.
I mean, what happens next?
I think Burrow may throw less interceptions this time. Maybe.
Football wife, you got lucky. Okay, all right. Well, it's gonna be a fun matchup. So Steelers and Bengals coming up. I think that'll be a better game than the Saints and the Rams. That's for sure.
Steelers Bengals was supposed to be the Sunday night. It got flexed out.
Next up, we are going to Germany. Go get your Oktoberfest on right now with the Bucks and Seahawks. Seahawks come into this one, and this was part of your bet of the week. I made this actually bet on the side.
I'll drink to that.
Seahawks fall to the Bucks in Germany. And this one, Tom Brady's back on track. Seahawks did not look like they were. Now, I brought this up on the Wednesday show. There's Seahawks, since weeks 1 and weeks 2, did not really play a very like the defenses that they played kind of on the weaker end for the most part over the course of a lot of these games that they were winning. And then you come in, and this was what I was worried about with Seattle in this one. I thought it would be a close game, but Tampa Bay's pass defense is a little bit better than what the Seahawks have used to. Why I had a feeling that it might be a little bit more on the side of Bucks, but I still teased the Seahawks on a side bet, not on my official bet. And here we are. Seahawks end up losing this one and have a nice long ride home from Germany. Think about it. Meanwhile, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady end up getting back on track with a win. So between Brady and between Rodgers, all the quarterbacks that were having issues and troubles, frustrated with the world, but better after.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it just looked like Seattle, especially in that first half offensively, was just completely out of rhythm. They could not get anything going. I think their longest drive in the first half was 14 yards, Chris. And then, of course, in the second half, they didn't punt at all. They did have a fumble on one drive after a long 71-yard drive. They did fumble, but they kind of cut into it. And then just to keep my teaser alive, Rachaad White had an opportunity to score at the end of the game for Tampa Bay, but he went down because him going down meant they could just kneel to win out the game for Tampa. So it was the right decision, but you don't always see that happening. Offensively for Tampa, a lot of people are going to talk about Tom Brady, and he did have a good game. But more importantly than that, they finally had a semblance of a running game. I know Seattle's rush off their defense is not good, but they turned it over to Rachaad White a little bit. He got 22 carries for over 100 yards. I mean, if you've watched Tampa this year, they have had no rushing game. So if they can get that going, then I'm sure Tampa will be dangerous in the NFC playoffs when they inevitably make it, because they're in the worst division in football, Chris.
Yeah.
Kind of sucks, but they moved to 5-5 and have a stranglehold on that division, Chris.
Yeah, and also the worst. I think that's the worst win percentage for a division in football. I believe it was going into this week. They did.
It has to be.
So yeah, I mean, it was by far the trashiest division across the board, but from a winning percentage standpoint. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Tom Brady, a couple stats in this one. Tom Brady's streak without an interception ends at 399 consecutive passes, 3 short of tying Aaron Rodgers for the longest streak. But he's also the first NFL player to win a game in 4 countries: United States, UK, Mexico, and Germany. So, he's got that under his belt too. So
this was also the first game in Germany.
It is.
So
it was the first.
Hard for someone else to win there.
Yeah. I mean, did what he had to do, right?
Yep.
But they did you mentioned they ran the ball 4 times in the first half, matching their most rushes in any half with Tom Brady under. Like, they decided to go with the run, decided to stick with it. And then Fournette got banged up a little bit in this one. So you got to keep an eye on that. I mean, they were how he's going to hold up. We'll see. But the Bucks end up getting a win here, and both these teams on a bye. I mean, that's kind of how these are structured. Go to another country, get a bye week afterwards. But when they get back from a bye, Seattle has Las Vegas on the schedule. They will be hosting Las Vegas, so they'll get a nice little schedule, favorable schedule there. The Bucks then go to Cleveland on November 7th. So again, both these teams get a little, and then another. We got a lot of people in the chat singing. Control, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home.
Is that a reference to Gino?
They
went to West
were
Virginia?
singing. They were singing in that stadium, and that's the one thing about Europe, though, man. They get rocking with those soccer matchups, and they
Oh, yeah.
chant and they sing and they do all this stuff, and they just brought that to. It was great. And I'm never singing again, by the way.
No, Chairman said I thought Scotty was the singer, but hey,
Ooh, it's a trap.
I'm betting on a little something, so I'm not gonna sing. But
Hey,
you go.
sometimes I'll bust out a little vocal here when I have an opportunity. It's not as good as Scotty, but you know what? I can throw
that was
something out there.
solid. That was solid.
Never expected Virginia to be this good. I had Seattle to be 6 by now. Yeah, no. I mean, he knows playing. Playing some good ball. It's just a fresh burger because the mic keeps going in and out. I mean, sure. Not sure they're Cuban. All right, so that's gonna do it. Let's go ahead and here we go. We have our best bets all updated, and we have a 3-1 and a 2-2 week this week, Scotty. So we're not perfect any longer. I didn't hit that 42.5. I missed it by literally 2.5 points by a field goal. I missed it. So Miami though covered -3.5. KC -9.5, and Green Bay was one of my bets of the week. Packers +5 ended up covering, so I'm feeling great about that one. And so was Milwaukee's. I know he was in a dark place. Scotty, you had the Raiders and the Browns. Didn't quite get there. But you looked great on the other two. So not bad. Not bad.
I'll take. I mean, 2-2 is fine. It's not. I'm not excited about it, but I'm not dreading it. So
I mean,
I'll come back.
You're
I'll be hot.
25-15, 10 games above 500 here. I'm 27-12-1. If you were to take our combined record, Scotty, we would be. Should we just open up our own sports book? Should we just like, you know?
Well, people would lose money with our
well,
lines.
I mean, maybe not move. I mean, should we
just a site where they can pay for our bets?
Yeah. Should we just? I mean, I think we should just start betting in general together, offline, knowing that we're gonna hit more than we make based off of these numbers.
Yeah,
just say
we're hitting at almost 2/3 clip, which is
insane.
Insanely high.
That's
insanely high.
I'm waiting for us to have a shit week.
Like 56% is insanely high, but we're close to 66.
Yeah. So, and we're getting there. I made 150 off the Vikings today, $5 bet.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go. I still, in case you're just joining us, I still have my 9. I have a 10-team teaser parlay that I hit 9 of 10 going into Monday night tomorrow night. Need the Eagles to win by at least 4.5 or 5. It's a 4.5 point spread for the Eagles. So I still have that going for me. But hey,
I'm just cheering for no one to score 33 points exactly tomorrow night, Chris, and then I win about $480.
There you go.